Hello everyone, I am Dr. Joe Jingi. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is currently the greatest public health threat in the United States. It is a crisis of unprecedented proportions. The number of deaths from its overdose reaches tens of thousands annually, creating a serious crisis that is fundamentally shaking society. Every year, more than 100,000 Americans lose their lives to drug overdoses, with synthetic opioids like fentanyl being the primary driver. Due to its strong addictive potential and high lethality, even in minute amounts, immediate countermeasures have been urgently needed. Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Just 2 milligrams can be fatal. Amidst this situation, a surprising countermeasure that overturns conventional wisdom has been announced by the medical community, attracting significant attention worldwide. Researchers are looking beyond traditional therapy. This is an approach involving a vaccine that completely blocks fentanyl from reaching the brain through the body's immune system. It effectively creates a biological barrier that the drug cannot penetrate. Could this be a magic shield that saves lives from drug addiction and overdoses? This time, based on the latest research data, we will delve deep into the science behind this innovation. We will objectively and thoroughly explain the mechanism of this experimental vaccine, the challenges to practical application, and the essence of the drug problem. We must look at the data with both hope and caution. Let's clarify the source of the information. According to the latest report published in the science news media Science Daily, a major breakthrough has been recorded in the field of immunology. A team from the Scripps Research Institute, a world-renowned American research institution, has announced significant progress in the development of a new experimental fentanyl vaccine. Their work is at the forefront of biochemical research. The mechanism of this vaccine is fundamentally different from conventional addiction treatments. While existing medications manage withdrawal or block receptors, the vaccine prevents the drug from even entering the brain. Normally, when drugs like fentanyl enter the body, their extremely small molecules easily bypass the blood-brain barrier, which protects the brain from the bloodstream. This barrier is usually very effective, but fentanyl is built to slip through. There, they bind to receptors in the brain, causing intense euphoria and simultaneously life-threatening respiratory depression. This is where the overdose occurs, as the brain forgets to tell the lungs to breathe. However, if this vaccine is administered beforehand, the body's immune system recognizes fentanyl as an enemy and produces specific antibodies. These antibodies are trained to recognize the unique chemical structure of the fentanyl molecule. The moment fentanyl enters the body, these waiting antibodies bind tightly. This happens in the bloodstream long before the drug can reach any neural tissue. It is a preemptive strike by the immune system. The fentanyl molecules bound to the antibodies become significantly larger, preventing them from passing through the brain barrier. Think of it like trying to fit a large truck through a small pedestrian gate. The drug remains trapped in the blood. In animal studies, even when vaccinated mice were administered a lethal dose of fentanyl, the results were remarkable. The vaccine provided a level of protection that was previously thought impossible in addiction medicine. Approximately 70% of the amount reaching the brain was reduced, and normal respiration was maintained. This reduction is significant enough to prevent the most fatal effects of an overdose, essentially turning a lethal dose into a non-lethal one. Furthermore, the vaccine has demonstrated broad-spectrum blocking against more dangerous variants that have recently entered the market. These variants are often even more potent than fentanyl itself, making this broad protection critical. This research represents a pivotal shift in how we might protect vulnerable individuals from the most lethal effects of synthetic opioids. It moves us from a reactive model to a proactive biological defense strategy. By leveraging the immune system, we create a biological defense that acts before the drug can cause damage. This is a testament to the power of modern medical innovation in the face of a social crisis. This news is very sensational, but we need to calmly understand its limitations and accurate positioning. It is easy to get caught up in the hype, but medical science requires rigorous validation. First, it must be emphasized that this vaccine is still in the research stage, having just cleared animal testing. The transition from animal models to human patients is a long and complex journey that can take many years. Clinical trials to confirm its safety and effectiveness in humans are yet to come. The hurdles to practical application in humans are by no means low. We must ensure that the immune response is both safe and durable. Furthermore, an important medical note is that this vaccine does not eliminate the craving for the drug itself. The psychological component of addiction, the desire to use, remains unchanged by the antibodies in the blood. It is merely an emergency protective measure to prevent immediate death by preventing it from reaching the brain even if ingested. It acts as a safety belt, not a cure for the underlying driving behavior. Or it can be used as a tool to reduce the risk of death from an accidental slip-up during rehabilitation. This provides a window of safety for those who are actively working to rebuild their lives and overcome their addiction. Furthermore, this vaccine is designed to specifically block only fentanyl. It does not interfere with conventional painkillers used in medical settings, such as during surgery or for end-of-life care. This specificity is a major advantage. However, there are concerns about the risk that addicted patients might shift to other dangerous drugs, thinking, if fentanyl doesn't work, I'll try another. The drug market is constantly evolving with new unregulated substances. We must view this vaccine not as a silver bullet, but as one part of a much larger medical and social strategy. Technology can provide tools, but it cannot replace the human element of healthcare and support. True recovery requires addressing the physiological, psychological, and social dimensions of addiction simultaneously. The vaccine addresses the physiological danger, but the rest requires different kinds of intervention. The road to FDA approval and widespread clinical use is paved with rigorous testing and long-term observation. We must be patient as the scientific process unfolds to ensure the highest standards of safety for the public. Physicians will need to carefully integrate this tool into existing medication-assisted treatment programs. It will be a new addition to the toolkit that doctors use to save lives every day in communities across the country. Understanding the limits of our technology is the first step toward using it effectively to save lives. By knowing what a vaccine can and cannot do, we can better design the support systems that surround the patient. The problem of drug addiction cannot be solved simply by addressing the medical aspects of a brain bug or physical dysfunction. It is not just a biological issue, it is a deeply human and societal one. Experts unanimously point out that addiction treatment is a complex challenge involving the intricate interplay of three elements: healthcare, social support, and policy. Each piece of this puzzle must be in place. No matter how much medicine advances and how many amazing vaccines and treatments are developed, that alone will not eradicate the problem. This is because drug addiction stems from structural societal distortions. Loneliness, poverty, psychological trauma, unemployment, and lack of access to adequate healthcare are the root causes. These are the conditions that often lead individuals toward substance use in the first place. Vaccines are a powerful, time-buying tool that can conserve life, but a comprehensive approach is absolutely essential. They give us the chance to intervene, but the intervention must be deep and lasting. Social support systems are needed to rescue patients from isolation and rebuild their lives. Community is often the most powerful medicine we have when it comes to long-term recovery and reintegration into society. We also need strict legal policies to crack down on drug trafficking organizations and the flow of illicit substances. Law enforcement and public health must work together to reduce the availability of these lethal drugs. The widespread availability of safe recovery programs is the foundation for any long-term solution. Every person struggling with addiction should have a clear and accessible path to professional help, regardless of where they live. Only when these diverse sectors work in harmony can we hope to see a real decline in the crisis. It requires a whole-of-society response that values every human life and recognizes the dignity of those in recovery. Policymakers must prioritize long-term investment in social infrastructure alongside medical research. Funding for education, housing, and mental health services is just as critical as funding for laboratory science. Accessibility is key. Treatment must be reachable for everyone, regardless of their socio-economic status. We must break down the barriers that prevent the most vulnerable among us from receiving the care they need. The vaccine is the shield, but the community is the strength that carries a person through recovery. Together, these tools give us a fighting chance against a crisis that has taken too many of our neighbors and loved ones. Science Daily's report on the Scripps Research Institute's vaccine research is undoubtedly a ray of science amidst the grim news of the fentanyl crisis. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, human ingenuity is at work. This is a major innovation with the potential to save tens of thousands of lives from the dangers of overdose. Every life saved is a family kept whole and a community strengthened. It is a goal worth every effort. However, we should not harbor excessive illusions about new technologies. While we welcome medical breakthroughs, we must simultaneously strive to address the root causes of addiction in society. Progress must be holistic. Working together, enacting laws, and changing systems are just as important as medical breakthroughs. We need to build a society that is resilient against the conditions that lead to despair and substance use. Instead of simply waiting for a miracle drug, we must carefully address each of the complex challenges before us. Each step forward, whether in the lab or in the community, is a step toward a healthier future for everyone. That is the foundation of trust in healthcare and society during times of crisis. By being honest about our challenges and diligent in our research, we build the credibility necessary to lead people through this crisis. That concludes today's explanation. We hope this information provides clarity on the ongoing efforts to combat this crisis and the role that science can play in protecting our communities. Awareness is the first step toward change. If you found this content helpful, please subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring more scientific insights and medical news to you every week. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.